was any rule changes, but what were there ones that you guys felt strongly about, or one than any other?
Well, we had opinions on all of them, obviously, and big news I think that'll come out of this, and it just happened, was the change on the replay review. So what was passed, to the extent I can summarize it as succinctly as possible, is offensive and defensive pass interference calls and non-calls, so flags and non-flags, can now be challenged by the coach in the normal course of the challenge system. Still only 2 per game, 3 if you get the first 2 correct. Inside the last 2 minutes, just like it is on all other reviews that will be generated by the booth review upstairs. So it can be reviewed in the last 2 minutes on a Hail Mary play, but it has to come from upstairs.
Will that be an official upstairs, or will it be like current system?
The current replay system, just like everything else, it's identified by that individual at each game in the last 2 minutes, whether it's a turnover or whether it's a touchdown. So same system.
I'm sorry. Why did you guys vote for that? If you did, it sounded like the coaches were pretty strongly in favor of.
Well, there was a lot of discussion about replays. I'm sure you guys have heard, and there were a number of proposals. The one that we ultimately settled on kind of came together this afternoon after this discussion this morning on it. And I think there was some concern about having it all done upstairs and coaches challenging in the last 2 minutes on a Hail Mary play or something. So I think they kind of found a middle ground that keeps the current system in place and utilizes the replay official upstairs in the last 2 minutes, and it takes the play that ended the NFC Championship game off of the table of being a discussion item as opposed to something that was reviewed. So, and we spent a lot of time about why offensive and defensive pass interference, it's the most impactful plays to the outcome of a game after a lot of review had been done, especially defensive pass interference, where it could be a 60, 70-yard penalty. It's the only penalty that's not a 15-yard or a 10-yard or 5-yard penalty. So with all that in mind, we were comfortable with it and voted in favor of it.
I wanted to ask you about a proposal that didn't make it to the table, but the Eagles had originally proposed taking away the.
I thought somebody may ask about that.
The Thanksgiving home game. I know that's obviously really important to
Right.
this team and the history of this franchise. Do you have any sense of why they proposed it, and also why they withdrew it?
They proposed it on the basis of competitive equity. That's all it said. I think the thought process was the short week and travel for whoever the opponents are for those 2 games. Obviously, we were very much supporting the current system and keeping it that way. I won't get into what happened and why they withdrew it, but I think there was enough momentum, both generated by Detroit and Dallas and other teams, to keep the tradition of the 2 games, and they withdrew it and it was never voted upon.
Sounds like you strong-armed them.
I said I won't get into what I did, so
Fair
you don't try and put words in my mouth. Even though I'm tired, you're not going to throw me off my game. So.
Uniforms are always a big
Yep.
topic with fans. Is
Yep.
there any insights you can share on plans for next season?
We, the uniform change we made several years ago, we're now going into this 3rd season of, and you cannot change the uniforms any more often than every 5 years. So nothing for the next couple years. I think I'm pretty comfortable with where we are with the uniforms, but as we get closer to that 5-year window, we may come back and look at any changes we might want to make. But I think they've been well received by the fans, and we've been trying to use the color rush we used twice last year, the throwbacks. I think bringing some variety to the uniforms is a positive thing, and I think the players like it too.
The color rush is also a 5-year lock.
Yes. Yep.
Something Matt talked about this morning, just how he really loves to have those joint practices
Mhm.
and what they get and gain from that. Any news, or is that something that you guys continue to do or want to look to do per his feelings on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a decision that he's going to largely drive, and we spent quite a bit of time about that prior to submitting our preseason request. So we have submitted requests with joint practices in mind, and hopefully the league can work it out. And a lot of conversation, obviously, with Howard and Mike North at this meeting on both preseason and regular season. So right now they're everybody's best friends, and then usually when the schedule comes out, they don't have anybody that likes them anymore. So hopefully we get what we requested, and we would have some joint practices. More to follow on that.
Patriots, is that one of
Not going to get into who we requested. I'll let the schedule play out, and then we'll talk about it.
But more than one or 2 like last year.
There could be more than one. That somewhat, again, depends on, they very much tried to accommodate every team. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but last year, several things that we requested in preseason didn't work out, mostly because of the West Coast teams playing each other in the regular season, so they did not want to play each other in the preseason, so every team had a east to west or west to east road trip. This year that is not an issue. So they allowed every team to make one request for a preseason opponent to practice against them. As long as the other team requested it, they were going to, within 100%, 99% range, be able to accommodate that. We also made requests beyond that week, and those are the ones I think could be less likely.
Rod, I really wanted to ask you about Sheila. We obviously don't get a lot of interaction with the ownership group, but she continues to take a bigger role. I just wonder if you can kind of explain some of the role she's taken on here and her importance to the organization.
Well, Mrs. Ford obviously is the controlling owner, and all four of her children are vice chairman. And Sheila's been added to a special events Super Bowl committee. Nothing is going to get announced on the succession plan, which is probably where you're headed on ownership. And the plan is to keep the team in the family, and beyond that, I don't have anything to say about any particular person in the family. Obviously, Sheila's here, and she's on the committee. That's part of the reason she's here.
What do you personally do to talk to the people at HBO or the NFL or whoever it may be about not being on Hard Knocks, if that is in fact the organization's own?
It's an interesting thing because obviously we're one of the teams, as you all know, that could be forced to be on it. I'd much rather end up in a position of not being forced to be on it, and since we're in that position, I guess we'll have to live with the consequences of what they decide. I've not really had any direct conversation about it. I don't know even the timetable when they make the decision. No one's talked to us about it either, so I don't know whether we're under consideration or whether we've already been eliminated and there's another team or two that they're more interested in. I've not heard about it. So.
There was a little rumor at the combine that you guys were being strongly considered. So.
Don't comment on rumors.
The Rams are taking a preseason game to Hawaii. And there's a report that the Raiders might take one to Saskatchewan, I think was the report today.
Yeah.
So just curious if that's ever been part of the discussion of moving one of them home preseason games.
Well, I would not want to give up a home game, even a preseason game. I think it's important for our fans to be able to easily get to the games and watch our team play, get to know the players that are new to this year, and maybe players that are fighting for a roster spot. So I know you guys would like to go to Hawaii. Dave mentioned that, but I'm not sure our avid fans would sign up for that. So
I'll pass on Saskatchewan.
yes,
Not even something like more local, like the Big House or Grand Rapids or the UP, like something to.
I haven't even really thought about it, to be honest with you. I think the other thing that it's preseason for the people that run Ford Field too. I mean, so it's a good opportunity for everybody to get back in the swing of getting people in and out of the building, taking care of people through the concession process. So I think if we gave up a home preseason game, you would lose the benefit of that opportunity to get everybody back in the football move.
Has there been any talk about moving training camp, at least for a period of time, someplace else?
No talk about it. I think it's logistically a challenge, and having now played and practiced against teams on the road, we know what it's like to move your entire operation. So to move it permanently for training camp, I think would be more than the benefit you might get from being away. That it's not on our radar screen.
This does kind of tie in with those questions. So obviously, big world. And I remember when they were talking about going to China a couple years ago. You said you were all for it first, and then talking to football people, it does maybe make more sense. But what do you guys do to sort of capitalize on those global opportunities? I saw the NFL might allow teams to do some in China.
Well, we haven't individually done much in China, but we do track. We have fans all over the world. You can track who's logging into the website, our app, even some of the Twitter action. You get fans from all over the country, so all over the world. So we try and take advantage of that opportunity to market to people. I think the league, though, is the best mechanism to market to China and globally because of the power of the 32 versus the power of the 1. Obviously, we have tremendous reach into Canada because of our location, so that's a unique situation. I think we have about 2,500 season ticket members from Canada.
Is there any other outreach that you guys do? We see on Twitter where a fan from Brazil or
Right.
Germany or wherever just randomly became a fan of the Lions.
You know, we don't, you know, in this world, you're kind of marketing globally all the time. Anybody who's on Twitter can see what you're doing. If they want to follow us or me, they can. So that's the extent of it. We don't have a strategy per se to
Any
reach
more
us.
questions, guys? You guys, attendance was down last year.
Mhm.
Still over 500,000, I think it was down. I don't know how concerned at all about that are you? What is the
You know, we were down a little bit from, I think the year before might have been an all-time high. And, you know, we had, I think, 6 standing room only games in 2017. I think we had 2 or 3 last year. Obviously, on-field performance affects, you know, attendance and also the opponents. I think this year we have a really interesting home schedule with our division teams, the Cowboys, the Giants. So we have some, you know, premier games. So I'm not worried about it. If we play well, the place will be full.
in-season ticket renewals?
They're going well. They're tracking very similar to last year.
Anything new coming to Ford Field that we should be on the lookout for this year?
Nothing in any major investments in the stadium. Just trying to continue to improve every day what we're doing. I think the biggest issue with us is with everything going on downtown is just continuing to find ways to navigate the traffic in and out of the stadium for our fans. And you know, it's very frustrating for them when they're in line to try and get into the parking garage and wait in line to get out of the parking garage. And as I said many times, they have a lot of reasons not to come to the game. You know, with the home viewing experience, etc. So I think, you know, trying to do everything we can to make their day enjoyable and stress-free, given the constraints of our location downtown.
Does that include the construction projects too, like this new one on I-94 from Connor to 270?
You know, we're always trying to give our fans every week, you know, information on the best way to get to the game, the best way to get home. You know, a lot of people, you know, don't live downtown and they know one way to get to the stadium, and that's, you know, one of the challenges is they want to go that way. And if that way has a construction project or something else or an accident, it creates complications. So we're trying to help people learn a second or third way, and yeah, on our app. Right? Tori does a little piece every week. You can watch it.
One last thing on Hard Knocks. I know, obviously, you know, the football side of it is not something that they want.
Yeah.
But would there be any benefits? What would the benefits be, I guess, to being on that just from
Well, obviously, there's, you know, the episodic viewing of it on HBO, and does that, you know, help the brand, or somewhat depends on how well, you know, it goes. I think, as I said, I'd much rather not be qualified for it, and let's be in the playoffs and not be one of the teams that are eligible.
All right, guys.
Hey, Rod, just to be clear,
Yep.
Mrs. Ford, did you voted for the amendment?
On the replay?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we voted for it.
Did you even try to get Toto for halftime? Come on.
I don't reach out to individual acts. There's people that do that. I mean, I will say that it is something that we negotiate with the league and the broadcast partners, because they want, you know, somebody that will draw attention and, you know, put on a good show and also be something that's worthy of giving up commercial time for halftime. So the league has a list of acts that they have a relationship with. We supply our own names, and then we kind of go through and try and invite people that we think might accept A, and B would be, you know, a good performer, because they're not paid. I mean, it's like the Super Bowl; they're not paid for the halftime. They're there for exposure and opportunity to reach fans that would be very difficult through other means. I mean, we have 30 million people watch the game. I mean, so it's a major platform.
Sounds like Toto's out.
I didn't say that.